So what's up, big man? How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah, you're like right around the corner. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
Olympia's coming up. How,
Uh,
how do you feel this year, man? Like overall, how do you feel this year?
I've finally gotten back in love with training again. So
Okay.
I say this year around it's a little bit different. Last year's Olympia, I wasn't training the way I needed to train to be, at the level that I needed to be at that stage. This time
Now,
around, I think my training's a lot better this time around.
now is it around the intensity and the focus, or is it just around strength wise?
It's a combination of both. Last Olympia, I trained by myself the whole time, so it was a little bit harder to get motivated and push and kind of lift the kind of weights that you need to lift to get your body into that kind of shape and everything like that.
Well, yeah,
You know, bit,
especially for you, because
mhm.
you move a lot of weight,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you still train up strong and shapely.
Yeah, I'm still training a strong and shapely signature Diamond Gym, Ben Francis. I bounce around a lot.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get it. Do you have a steady partner, or do you have just partners?
This is the first time I actually have a steady partner. He's been awesome. He's a retired corrections officer,
Nice.
and he's been awesome. Like shows up on time. You know, we don't talk too much. We just go
Yeah.
in there and bang it out and stuff like that. So it's been a blessing having him, and I can't thank him enough. So Darren, if you're watching this later on, I got to give you a huge shout out, man.
Yeah,
I
man.
don't, I don't, I don't, I don't tell him that enough. And sometimes,
Mhm.
I might make little inside jokes on him and shit like that, but I really appreciate him.
I don't think people realize how we everybody loves to train. That's normal,
Hmm.
but the shit is tough. Like during prep with
Yeah,
stress and just energy and stuff like that. So, having somebody there, especially somebody that's not bullshitting,
yeah.
like that, maybe that extra set is getting done now. Like relatively
Yeah, I
speaking,
mean, I mean, it benefits him a lot. Don't he gets a lot out of it because
of
the guy
course.
he grew like I want to say he's about maybe 50, 55 years old.
Uh huh.
And from back then to since he started training to me, he's been growing like a fucking weed, man. Like it's crazy because now everybody in the gym is just like, holy shit, like the amount of size he put on
No wonder he's
since he's been training with
fucking.
me.
No wonder he's
Yeah,
showing. He's probably showing up early. Has your energy drinks
yeah.
ready, everything you need.
He got people in the gym calling him Big Dog now.
Damn, damn.
So he's getting a lot out of it for me now. And I'm not the only one that's benefited from it. He's also
Yeah.
getting a lot out of it, and he's making a lot of change at that age to put on that muscle and look the way he looks right now. He's really happy. You
Well,
know.
yeah. I mean, listen. You gotta look, man. You're competing or not competing, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta love the shit
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do it and
Mm-hmm.
push yourself harder. So, he's seeing the changes. He's loving it. So that
Mm-hmm.
definitely is huge. How about your body wise? How do you feel this year versus last year?
I mean, I feel amazing. I've been blessed to finally started doing like work on my body outside of the gym. I've never done that before
Hmm.
throughout my whole career and stuff like that. So shout out to Dr. Gary Ashenoff,
I
out
know
there
who
in
you're talking about.
Montclair.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've been going to see him every week, and he's been taking really good care of me, man, and to the point where I'm basically benching heavy again and stuff like that. So, there's definitely worked a lot of magic on me to prolong me and help me lifting heavy,
Yeah.
you know, at this stage.
Do you get a lot of you don't get so you do feel a lot beat up a lot often or no?
No, it's just lately, in the past two years, I started feeling it. I started feeling the little aches and pains and stuff like that. But I was fortunate enough to go see him, and well, I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say I was fortunate. It kind of happened after my car accident.
Okay.
So after the car accident, I needed to go do therapy and stuff like that, and it was just happened to just stop at his office,
Are you
and
are you in your 30s, Akeem, or are you
yeah,
yeah, bro.
yeah.
That's the 30s pain. That's the 30s pain.
Yeah, and it's making a huge difference. Just seeing him once a week and him doing some work on me and stuff like that. So
That's good, man. I was fucking joking around with Victor
mm,
last time I seen him. And then, Victor's, late 40s, he's a lot
mm,
older and he still looks
mm.
great. But he's telling me it takes him an hour to get out of bed in the morning because he's got so many pains and aches and shit.
Oh shit.
So I don't want to warn you and give you like
Yeah,
bad
yeah, yeah,
news what's
yeah.
gonna happen, but
No, no, of course, man. I wish I knew what I knew now, and I would have started doing this a lot sooner. Would have definitely helped me out a lot more. Prevented me from like my biggest problem was I had a right shoulder injury, so that kind of like sidelined me a lot in terms of like lifting, benching heavy and stuff like
yes.
that. Some of the weights I used to do in the past, I can't do it anymore. So
Now, what are before I get into like your whole history of lifting, because you lift very heavy, man. What are your heaviest lifts from across? Like I'm referring to bench, squat, and dead. Like, and I'm talking your all time biggest lifts.
I mean, I pulled deadlift. I think I pulled, it's 850 or 900 before. I pulled that before. I got videos so people can talk. And squat, I think it was about 820. Yeah, that was about 820. I did an 820 squat. No squat suit or anything like that. No knee wraps. Just a belt. I did it pretty clean too, actually.
Yeah,
You probably could look it up on YouTube.
yeah, yeah.
You can look it up on YouTube. I think that's up there. Bench press. The most I ever got up to on bench is about 550.
Oh, that's it. Just
Yeah, that's
550.
it.
You say it like it's nothing. Get the fuck.
Well, I mean, compared to my squats and deadlift, I've always thought like I should at least like hit like a 600 bench press, but I never was able to do that. Most I ever went up to was about 550.
Now, did you ever power lift, or was it just this was just your natural strength?
Just natural strength. I never, really. One time I started getting into it, back when I used to do the Bros versus Pros with Dave
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Palumbo.
yeah,
But in the end, I just decided to focus more on the bodybuilding. So I never really got like, learn the techniques and stuff like that.
yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
you're literally over 2,000
Hmm.
on the numbers. That's like insane. That's insane. Like any powerlifter watching this would be like fucking pissed off as hell right now. Now, you when did you actually get into just lifting overall? Yeah, was it in high school? You played sports? How did it all work out for you, man?
Well, I mean, it kind of started in college. After basketball and stuff like that, I went into the weight room. I got a job in the weight room with the strength coach, and one thing led to another. And at the time, I had a friend that was getting ready for the Marines, and I would just go in there because I worked there, so I would just
Hmm.
like let him go in and lift because I had the keys and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And eventually, after a while, I got kind of tired of just sitting there, just watching him lift,
Yeah,
and I started lifting a little bit more. And I noticed two things started happening. I started getting really like strong really fast, much stronger than he was, and I started getting big really fast.
yeah.
And he was busting his ass, but he did not look like me.
Right, right.
So it was just that's what you said. You just more, not everybody had the genetics for bodybuilding,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The body
and
was activating more for you.
exactly, and I was able to just outlift him and just like pack on more muscle than he did, to the point where after a while he just stopped, and I continued.
Damn. Now you were you said you played on a team. Well, of course you played the whole entire time while you were in college on basketball.
Hmm.
And
Well, the first 2.5 years I played.
gotcha, gotcha. And then you transitioned. When did you decide to transition into actual bodybuilding, bodybuilding, like
Well,
competing and stuff like that?
it maybe was my junior year of college. I think it was. I was I started looking like a bodybuilder, even though I didn't really like training legs like that. I hated.
Now before that, did you follow any type of diet, or were you just
No,
you were
no,
eating regular, right? Yeah, that's what I
eating
figured.
regular, just training upper body because I hated training legs.
Okay.
And I was heading home one day, and I think I got on the. That's when I lived in Brooklyn, and I got on the bus, and I met this lady. You back then you had the Metro cards.
Yes,
So
yes.
I put my Metro cards in the slot, and at the time I had a tank top on, and she saw me, and she's like, "Holy crap!" She's just like, "Do you compete?" I'm like, "Competing what?" She's like, "Bodybuilding." I'm like, "Bodybuilding? What the hell is that?"
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
So she's just like, looking at your triceps and your genetics, you definitely should compete in bodybuilding. So she gave me her card. Turns out her husband was a training partner of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Leon Brown.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sure a lot of your listeners gonna have to look up Leon Brown. But Leon Brown was old school bodybuilder who used to train out in Gold's Venice back in the days. He was an amazing bodybuilder, by the way. He had one of the best backs, you know. And her husband was Leon Brown. So she introduced him to me.
Yeah.
I went out to Staten Island that weekend to meet up with him and everything because he wanted to see what I looked like. She kept like talking about me the whole time, like raving about me.
Yeah.
And he wanted to see what I looked like. So me and a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, went out to Staten Island to this gym called Dolphin Gym
Okay.
to meet him. And he came in there and he was pissed off because she wouldn't shut up about me. So he wanted to see like, what the hell is she talking about? Who's this kid that she's talking about? So he stopped his workout and he came downstairs angry as hell. And I remember standing on that gym floor and he came in and he's just like, all right, let me see what you look like. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, dude, you expect me to fucking strip down the middle of the gym?
Right, right.
So I was very hesitant to do
Well,
it,
yeah,
but I'm
because
like,
that's all new to you. Like that's a whole
exactly.
different world, man.
Yeah, exactly. And he assured me, he's just like, listen, man, I'm not gay. His training partner, he's just like, we're not gay, we just want to see what you look like.
Yeah.
So I told myself, I'm like, shit, at the time I wasn't driving. I had to take public transportation and stuff like that. And it took me like maybe like 2.5 hours to get to Staten Island. Because, from Brooklyn, you got to take the train, the bus, the ferry, then another bus. So it took me about 2.5 hours to get to Staten Island. So I'm like, shit, it took me 2.5 hours to get here. I might as well just,
Yeah, just what's
do
up?
what I come here to do. Exactly. So I stripped down. He saw me. He took a look around me. He walked around me and he's just like, all right, we're going to go up to Pennsylvania and do a show next week.
What?
I swear to God. I didn't know shit about bodybuilding. Don't know shit about posing. Nothing. He literally took one look at me and he's just like, we're doing a show next week. And that was the Bill Grand Classic out in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
And
the
I still remember it like yesterday. My girlfriend at the time, she shaved me. She drove. So she,
Bro, I could just listen, man, because you're from
yeah.
Brooklyn. I'm from
Uh-huh.
Trenton. Like
Uh-huh.
we're from
Uh-huh.
Northeast.
Yeah.
So and bodybuilding, especially, you're going back a little bit.
Uh-huh.
It's such a like a unique thing
Uh-huh.
so for a man to be like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, I gotta shave and be
Mm-hmm.
naked and
Yeah.
pose.
Yeah.
Like it's a completely fucking opposite of like
Yeah.
what our environment and world is, man.
Exactly. Coming straight up from the hood and shit like that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it was an eye opener to say the least.
Yeah.
But my back to the story. My girlfriend at the time, she's like, you know what? You spend so much time in the gym training and everything like that. You might as well just do the damn thing just to see what it's about or whatever.
Yeah.
So she drove me out to Allentown, Pennsylvania. Got shaved. Didn't know how to pose because Leon was in his own world. He didn't really teach me how to pose.
Uh-huh.
He just
He
tell me
just said
shave
go on
and
stage and call it a day.
exactly. So I showed up out there, and I still remember the story. Oh God, I forgot the name of this competitor because I actually met him the last time from when we competed back then, and he made a joke, and he's just like, we trained our asses for that show, and while they were backstage, he was telling me the whole story. He never told me that before,
Yeah.
and he said, we trained our asses six months or whatever, prep for the show, whatever, and then they're backstage and they're doing the weigh-ins, and he's just like, he looked around and he seen this guy, and he's just like, who the fuck is this kid?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then then he found out that I never even trained for bodybuilding. I just showed up that day at the show and I looked like that, and he's just like, oh shit. And he's just like, yeah, he told me, he's just like, yo, he's like, we look around and we saw you, and he's like, oh shit, who the hell is this kid? And he's just like, what made it worse is he found out that I never even trained for bodybuilding. I just showed up like that.
Yeah.
So, I went out there and I won the novice overall and the
Uh-huh.
heavyweight overall. So like I pretty much won the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember that day I was so happy because I'm like, shit, damn, this bodybuilding thing is easy.
It's easy. Yeah, I got this shit.
I don't have to do anything. Literally just like shave, get on stage, and win, man. Because I remember I was looking at the other competitors and I was just like following what they were doing because I didn't know how to pose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would look to the side and see what the guy do, and then I'll do the same thing.
Oh my God.
And I won the whole show.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Wow.
man, that was a huge, probably one of the most memorable in terms of my bodybuilding career. Was I could never forget that moment because it was so easy for me to just go in there and like, just so like, just not put in a lot of work, but get the results,
Because your body was just literally made to grow.
hmm
Like that's really what
Yeah.
it was. So what happened after that show? So you won, you won the show. Your girl's like, oh my God, you fucking can do this. Like,
hmm
where did it go from there? Like, where did everything go from there?
Well, after that, I got bit by the bug, actually, and I found out that there was actually a show in Brooklyn. This guy named Matt ran the show at the time, the Brooklyn Grand Prix.
Okay.
And I decided to do that show because I knew back then I don't know if you know who Geno Smith was. He passed away.
Yes.
So rest in peace, Geno.
Yep.
He was one of the big sponsors for that show and everything like that. And he gave away this jacket,
Son.
this leather jacket that said Brooklyn on it. And I wanted that jacket so bad, bro. You have no idea. I didn't give a shit about, the title or the trophies. I just wanted that jacket because that
Yeah.
jacket was badass.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I decided to do that show because I wanted that jacket. And I showed up in the show. I mean, I still didn't really know much about bodybuilding, but I would go out once a week and train with Leon, and he started teaching me a few things and stuff like that. So I was kind of training a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I remember that show. I went in there and I weighed in at like about maybe 203 or something like that. And I won the heavyweight,
Okay.
but you had to win the overall
For
to
the
get that
jacket.
jacket.
Yeah.
hmm And there was this kid, his kid from Long Island. We end up turning out to be pretty cool friends. His name, you guys can look him up. His name is Clayton Johnson,
Okay.
and he showed up at that day at that show. And I've never seen somebody that big in my life. He was huge
Oh,
for
super,
back
super
then.
heavyweight. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was a light heavy, but he was humongous. Light
Really
heavyweight guy, humongous, big
shorter,
quads. Yeah,
shorter
yeah.
and everything. Yeah.
hmm And me and him went up for the overall, and they ended up giving him the overall.
Yeah.
And I was so pissed.
Oh,
I was so upset because I didn't win the jacket. He won the overall. So then I found out that he was doing the Eastern USA's,
yes. Yes.
the next weekend or something like that. And
So you went to go do it? You went to go do it?
I gotta beat this dude. So I'm like, I could beat him. I'm like, I know I could beat him. I'm like, I'm gonna beat him.
Yeah.
So the competitive fire in me just got lit. I'm like, you took my jacket, I'm gonna go beat you.
Right. Right. Right.
So, I went to the Easterns, but I didn't know anything about dieting because I still wasn't dieting for bodybuilding.
Yeah. You were just kind of
So
free balling.
yeah, so you know what I did?
Go
I
ahead.
kid you not. Every time I tell people that story, they die laughing. You remember Subway, eat fresh, eat healthy, Subway sandwiches?
You did that all day long, didn't
So
you?
I figured since they say Subway was healthy, because I didn't know any better, I'm like, all right, I gotta go start eating Subway.
Oh my
The
God.
power of advertising, right?
Yeah. Oh my
So
God.
I would go to Subway, bro. I kid you not. I would go to Subway and only get the chicken breast from Subway. I would
Okay.
order. Like I had one of my friends that worked there, so he would sell me just the chicken breast, not the bread, just the chicken
Yeah.
breast, and I would eat the chicken breast with bananas. So that whole week or 2 weeks or whatever, I ate nothing but chicken breast and bananas
Wow.
for that show. And I showed up at the Easterns, and guess what happened?
You won shredded, didn't you?
I
What?
made the light heavyweight, and I beat him. I didn't win
Wow.
the overall, but I beat him at that show.
Wow.
I remember he was so pissed.
That's insane. Insane.
Yeah, I beat him at that. I beat him at that show. He was so pissed, man.
Now, during that time when you were doing those first two shows,
Mhm,
because you said you didn't enjoy training legs.
mhm.
Did you still have leg size? Like
Yeah,
did
yeah. hmm
they
I
were
just
still
didn't train. My legs they were still decent, but I hated training them. You know,
gotcha. And you still had separation and everything, I assume,
still
right?
had separation. Yeah,
Fucking A, man.
because
God
I didn't do
damn.
any. I would the only thing I would do is just squat. I didn't do any leg press or leg
Yeah.
extensions and stuff like that. I just did the squats.
Damn. Can I get
You
some of
know.
your I need some of your blood. Like and sell that. Jesus Christ. All right. So so you do three shows in just a matter of like fucking little bit of time, free balling on bananas
uh-huh.
and Subway chicken. That's the new secret diet, by the way, for anybody that's looking for the secret diet to get shredded is Lily bananas and Subway chicken. And it's not even real chicken, bro.
No,
It's
I
like,
know it tastes. When I think back about how horrible that thing tastes, man, it was
oh,
like cardboard chicken, bro.
Jesus Lord. Okay, so you won the Easterns. Where'd you go from there, man? Like where everything went from there?
Well, from the Easterns, I at the Brooklyn show, Dave Palumbo was the MC
Yes.
for that show, and he saw me at the East that Brooklyn show, and he also saw me at the Easterns, and he's just like, "Holy crap, you kind of remind me of Chris Comer with your physique and everything like that. You have a lot
Yeah.
of potential. I want to work with you." So I reached out to him, and then I started working with him, and that's when I really started learning about bodybuilding and
Yes.
what it takes to bodybuild and stuff like that.
Hey,
So
bro.
I would always be grateful to Dave,
Yeah.
because he didn't have to do what he did. He took me under his wing. He started teaching me about dieting and training. Not so much as training, but most of the dieting aspect about bodybuilding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you went from bananas and chicken to a top tier coach.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just bypassed everything.
Yeah.
God, whoever's listening to this probably just hates you right now. And okay, and how old were you when you did all this?
I was in my 20s, like mid 20s, I think. Yeah, like 24, 25, give or take.
And then
26.
and then how long did it take you before you started hitting national stage?
Well, that same year, the year after I went into nationals, me and Dave, we went into the junior nationals. But I was always realistic about my goals. So I started understanding the whole concept of bodybuilding and what it takes to be a bodybuilder and stuff like that. And I looked at the junior nationals because Dave wanted me to do the junior nationals, and I'm like, you know what? If I could go to the junior nationals and place top five, then I definitely have a career doing this. If I can't, then I'm just wasting my time.
Right.
So the goal with junior nationals, of course you want to win, but I'm like, if I could place top five there, I could definitely, have a career doing this whole bodybuilding thing. So I went to junior nationals, and that year was one of the best junior nationals that ever came out, actually, because you had some like really heavy hitters in that show. You had Justin Compton, you had Kevin Jordan, you had me, you had Lloyd Dollar. Like it was
Wow.
some really like
And that was
top
yeah, and
up
then
and
during
coming
that time,
bodybuilders.
and then the classes were stacked too, so you probably had
Yeah,
over 30, 40 people in each class.
and I'm talking about all those names that I mentioned. All of those guys went on to get their pro cards.
Right, right.
Hmm.
So how did it all end up? How did everything end up for you there?
Well, when I went in there, Kevin Jordan actually won the heavyweight, and he won the overall. I think Justin Compton was second. I was either third or fourth. I can't remember.
Oh wow.
I think I was fourth, maybe. I can't remember. And I think Lloyd was third. I can't remember. We could have flip flop. I was third and he was fourth. Or I have to go back and look at
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the stuff like that because it's been so long.
But that was it. That was
Yeah,
the true sign that this is it.
yeah,
This is what I got to
yeah,
keep doing.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And then
So
and after that, when did you how many more nationals you had to do before you grabbed the pro card?
then I went to the USA's, and I probably could have turned pro there, but Dave was very gun ho on me doing heavyweights, and my body at that time he just wanted to grow. And I remember I looked really good at like 236, 237,
Yeah.
and Dave wanted to keep sucking me down to heavyweight, and I couldn't make it, and he sucked me down all the way down to like 228. And I showed up in the super heavyweights at like 228.
Gotcha. So you
So
learned
I lost.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And I
you
still
made it.
cracked the top. I still cracked the top five. But I believe if I had came in at like 236 to 37, I would have
Yeah.
won that USA's.
You would overpowered all of them
Yeah,
because
exactly.
your muscles are so bubbly and so fucking
Yeah.
round. It
Hmm.
makes you look 20 pounds heavier automatically.
Yeah. Hmm.
So you grabbed the pro card the year after that.
Yeah, I turned pro in 2013 after that. Yeah.
So 2013. So how many years were you really bodybuilding before you turned pro?
Not that long, man. I started in really, really started bodybuilding in 2011, and I turned pro in 2013.
Okay, 2 years. Yeah,
Hmm.
that makes me feel so good about myself and everybody else. That's fucking no, that's awesome, bro. That's awesome. And then so you turn pro.
Mhm.
How did everything work for you going into, pro shows and things like that? How was everything working out? Were you still working with Dave for a while, and how did
Well,
everything work?
yeah, I turned pro and I still was working with Dave. And like I learned a lot from him and everything like that. But I truly believe that but if I had to do it all over, I would have changed my mindset a little bit. Instead of just doing shows just to do it, I would have been
Gotcha.
more strategic with my picking shows and stuff like that. Because in bodybuilding, man, even if you show up bad once, people always remember you for that. And it never changes. I've done shows where my condition was amazing, but people would keep saying, "Oh, he doesn't show up in shape," and I'm like, "What the hell are you guys talking about?"
Yeah.
You know, that's the one thing I hate about this sport.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like it's like once you have a bad placing, that's all they remember.
yeah. They can't get past it, and they
Mm-hmm.
keep throwing it up,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then you do a show that's stacked, and it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
it's because he never comes in, and it's like, no, man,
Exactly.
the shit was stacked, like
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
that way. When was the first time you qualified for the Olympia?
First time I qualified the Olympia was in 2015 or 16, I think.
Oh
I
yeah,
think it was 2016. Yeah,
that's good.
I
That's
think
pretty
so.
quick.
Hmm.
That's pretty good. How did it feel to be on an Olympia stage for the first time?
Oh God, first time, man. It was all it happened really fast, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, you know, I do miss him a lot, Cedric McMillan,
Yes.
because he was the one bodybuilder, God rest his soul. He was the one bodybuilder that actually like pulled me aside, me being a rookie, first Olympian. He pulled me aside and had a nice talk with me.
Really?
So I would always appreciate that about him because he didn't have to do that. He pulled me aside, had a talk with me and everything like that, and I would always remember that. So
That's pretty cool.
huge props to him. Even though he's not with us anymore, I would always remember that about him.
I always heard that backstage they would always be making jokes and making everybody laugh.
Yeah, yeah, he was an awesome person, an awesome guy, amazing guy.
Yeah. Fucking good guy, man.
Hmm.
And so he helped you out on that aspect. And then
Hmm.
how was it stepping on that stage, man?
It was surreal. I was just at that time I didn't even care about placing. I was just
Yeah.
happy to be there.
Yeah.
Happy to be amongst the best in the world and stuff like that. So I was like still like a fanboy.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
didn't show like the competitive nature in me didn't really, you know, it was just so awesome to be on that stage and be up there with all the guys and everything like that. So I didn't really care about the competition aspect about it.
Just
So it
being
wasn't, yeah,
I'm sorry, just being on that stage solidifies you as being one of the best.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Like no matter the placing at the end of the day, you're still one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Um, contrary to whatever the fucking people can want to say and stuff like that, man. So, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. That's a fucking awesome career. So, I guess what I would ask is a lot of people like they see that fun stuff, right? Winning things like that. What is it behind the scenes that you would say was your hardest struggle to battle? Because everybody battles different things behind the scenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just happens, right? And nobody sees that because nobody really talks about it. Nobody brings it up
Mm-hmm.
because it's personal. What would
Mm-hmm.
you say is like the biggest thing that kind of like you always have to overcome? And because I'm sure during prep, that's when it also hits the most. What would you say to you, man? Is you're always the constant battle?
For me, wow, that's a pretty tough question. I would say to my biggest battle is turning it off,
Okay.
if that makes any sense. Like I can't, as much as I love bodybuilding and I love competing and everything like that, I don't want to talk about it 24/7. I don't
Gotcha.
want to be a bodybuilder 24/7. And I feel like that's a huge problem in this industry. Like a lot of these guys, they can't turn it off.
Yeah.
They bodybuilding 24/7. And for me, I can't be that way. So I try to find another outlet where I could just like take some time away from competing, take some time away from training and stuff like that. And what I've found, it's a hobby for me right now, but I've gotten really into like cars and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that's my other passion and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a little bit silly. And sometimes I could get a little bit carried away because I switch cars a lot.
Okay.
But I figured, I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not out there drinking and smoking and partying and
Yeah.
doing a bunch of crazy shit. I'm just enjoying cars and like, have a passion for cars. So that's one of the ways I've kind of like, been able to have that balance
Yes.
and, work
It's
on
been
my cars, spend some money, do things to my cars and go on long drives and stuff like that.
so it's basically that at the end of the day, it's like you love bodybuilding,
Hmm.
but you hate that it has to consume you. I,
Yes.
it's that's I get it. I think
Hmm.
I think that could be a possible, and this is just me saying different things. It could be a possibility because your career grew so fast,
Hmm.
right? You didn't
Hmm.
have to really turn off your life
Hmm.
to get to the high level where a lot of other people do. Like a lot of other people have to completely turn the rest of their life off and live it 24/7 to reach the point that you've reached. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I mean that could play a factor. Now, you mentioned one thing where, you said, like different placings and how people hold that over people's heads and things like that, or whatever it is.
Hmm.
Does that ever weigh you down or hit you hard behind the scenes or when you're in prep or anything like that? Or
Not at all, man. I've, like I said, I grew up different from a lot of people. Growing up in Brooklyn and stuff like that. So I've learned to like not give a shit what other people say.
well, you have to in
I've learned
Brooklyn
to
because if you do, you're
yeah,
gonna be fucked.
exactly. So I've learned to like block all that shit out. So you can talk the talk. I don't really like. At the end of the day, I have one philosophy in terms of if you're not paying my bills, I could give two
Right.
shits what you gotta say about me.
Yeah.
You know.
It
So.
makes sense. And that's a very good point because um say with with social media and stuff like that,
Hmm.
I think a lot of the young generation,
Hmm.
when they're coming up, they are so worried
Hmm.
about their impressions on social media, about negative comments and so forth.
Hmm.
I think those things where people are too worried about people that mean nothing in their life, that's
Exactly.
like what we're seeing a lot now is like you're seeing the photoshopping, the
Hmm.
fucking fake shit on
Hmm.
social media where like bodybuilding is just bodybuilding, but now
Hmm.
we're seeing it tainted with people changing their images, right?
Because that's the problem. Everybody want to be so perfect.
Yes.
And it's perfect for who, you know, to get
They
a
want
bunch of likes,
yes.
on social media.
Yes. And that's where and it goes back to they're trying to be perfect for the people
Hmm.
who are not going to like them no matter what.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
and then the worst part is if the ones that don't compete, they can hide, right?
Hmm.
They can hide, and then when you see them in real life, you're like, wait a second, you look a little different. The ones
Hmm.
that compete, man, like you're just gonna get exposed on stage,
Hmm.
like sooner or later. So I really think
Yeah.
that's definitely the difficult part, man. But again, the bodybuilding has changed, like really, like the look of like let us say look, the perception of like how bodybuilding is has changed.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because
Hmm.
your bodybuilding is in that hardcore gym
Hmm.
with the same people, same mindset. You leave, done, eat, call it a day, boom, boom, boom. The other bodybuilding is a photo shoot, an act in the gym, the whole nine,
Hmm.
then come out, go somewhere around things in the
Uh,
gym and stuff like that. So it's changed, man.
I've seen, bro. I've seen it. Like, I don't mean to bring up anything like personal, but I went out to guest post a few weeks ago, and just one of the competitor that hasn't even proven himself yet, and the way he was acting, like I couldn't believe
Really.
it.
Like backstage and everything, or
Yeah, just the antics, man. I'm like, bro, like, come on, man. You know.
I'm surprised you didn't go up to him and just flex and be like, bro, what are you doing? But I know exactly what you're saying. It's the ego, right? But
Yeah, they got so much egos, man.
and I think
You know.
a lot of the ego is driven from it could be driven a lot from social media too,
Hmm.
because they could be the man on their social media
Hmm.
and they're kind of just bring into the aspect. But at the end of the day, man, that stage is going to just humble everybody very
Yeah,
well.
I think that you hit the nail exactly directly on the head. Like a lot of these guys lack the whole concept of being humble.
Yes.
Everybody think because you have a bunch of people following you on social media that you don't even know personally that you're like some kind of superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nah, man. At the end of the day, like people come up to me all the time and tell me like they can't believe how much of a nice person I am. You don't take a lot to be a nice person, man.
No,
Just because you have a whole bunch of people like following you and liking yourself on social media doesn't make you no superstar, man.
I know.
You know?
And the worst part is a lot of those individuals really haven't accomplished anything. Their accomplishment
Mm-hmm.
is just the following they might have built from what they're presenting, right? So in essence, they're pretty actors, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would
Mm-hmm.
call them bodybuilding actors if you look at
Yeah,
it that
exactly.
way. Um, but what's
But
go ahead.
you were with me with that in that seminar that we had like a
Yes,
few weeks ago with Ronnie Coleman, and
yes,
you listened to Ronnie speak,
yes,
and when you listen to Ronnie speak, you just with everything that he has accomplished, he still was up there apologizing for being late,
yeah,
and exactly, and you don't get that from these young bodybuilders nowadays. He was still humble enough to apologize for being late and thank everybody for waiting and everything like that. And like nowadays, these young guys, you don't get that from them, man.
I
Everybody
agree.
think like they're such a, like you said, a superstar, and they haven't accomplished anything.
Yes, and the way you look at it is like the way we're looking at it is you know we're humble because that's what we are, right? We are
Mm-hmm.
humble because we're happy to get where we are, and
Yeah.
at the same time, our humbleness is also like a teaching aspect towards the younger generation. A lot of these guys aren't realizing you're so popular, you're teaching the other generation or the same one within your age group to be assholes too, and
Mm-hmm.
you're tarnishing the face of bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say early 90s, right? The
Mm-hmm.
face of the face of bodybuilding, right? The portrayal of face of bodybuilding was massive fucking guys, right? Because you either had the five guys in the gym who were fucking massive as jacked or crazy, and then
Mm-hmm.
everybody else, right? So the perception was it's got to be angry person on sauce, call it a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, a lot of those guys were more chilled, laid back. The non-competitors were actually assholes. Usually, the non-competitors were usually assholes. So we moved forward, and things started changing. Right, the whole perspective wasn't the same way. It started getting a lot more open. The whole sport, and it's like now we are at the biggest point where it's so popular in fitness, but it's like we're going backwards with the fucking negativity
Mm-hmm.
and it's like dude in the 90s the 300-pound jack guy was ego might have had an ego. Now the 170-pound kid who's who's posing like Chris Bumstead, right? The next Chris Bumstead has that ego like he's that way, like come on. So
that's
yeah, man.
that's so true though.
It really is, man. So, and look, guys, man. Just because you can suck your stomach in, it doesn't mean you're automatically classic physique.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's classic physique when they're 180, like literally everybody. So,
Exactly.
so yeah, I think it's
Uh,
Go ahead, man.
and then what's crazy about that, they think like being classic physique and everything like that is everybody wants to be classic physique, but when you go to these shows, man, people still show up to see the bodybuilders.
Yes,
The bodybuilders is what pulls numbers. If you look at the Olympia,
yes,
sure, classic physique has grown a lot, but at the end of the day, what's going to sell tickets is the bodybuilders.
yes, because the classic physique is a great way to start within the bodybuilding world, like in your career as a bodybuilder. It's also a great way to start when you're young, right? Because it's feasible and it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally is to grow and see where your body ends up. At the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, no matter how much they always try to say bodybuilding is dying, look, man, open bodybuilding is never going to die because they always want to see that. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
we may see a big hit of like the classic here, but
Mm-hmm.
the minute you go to India, the minute you go to Middle East, Latin America, it's
Mm-hmm.
fucking open bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that we're seeing a pocket here in America
Mm-hmm.
because the kids just have a lot more open and the access to gyms, and it's just an easier kind of grab for them in the beginning. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, open's always going to be open, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, so last thing, man, you said you love your cars. Out of everything you told me, right? Because you told me your biggest squats and everything. The most impressive thing is that you can get into your goddamn Corvette like it's nothing. Like you just slide in, slide out. I think if you were like in a superhero movie, you'd be able to just jump out real quick, like it is nothing. Very, very impressive. Now, do you still have you still have one of your Corvettes now or no?
Yeah. Actually, I picked up the new one. Actually,
Did you?
yeah, I
Did you
picked up the new one. So
did you
I
wrap it yet or not yet?
no, not yet. It's still normal. I'm gonna keep it normal for a little while. You
Okay.
know.
Now, do you usually stick with one car or do you try to get a couple toys?
Right now, I have like I've always had like about 2 or 3 cars.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So Corvettes are the ones that you love the most.
yeah.
what else do you usually try to keep?
I had a M3 for a while. That was the one I got into the car accident with.
Yep.
So I had to get rid of that. Right now I just picked up a XKR Jaguar.
Did you?
And
Nice. For the luxury.
it's a supercharged, so I don't think it's too much
But when
luxury
you
in that.
yeah, but you got it's a lot more room inside, ain't it?
Not really.
Oh my god, man.
It's still tiny, but I love that thing, man. That thing is fast.
Fuck,
That
man.
supercharger on there, that thing is fast. So I'm actually slowly trying to talk myself out of building it because it's a
Oh.
big V8 with a supercharger on there.
Yeah,
So
what else you want to throw on that bad boy?
yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna piece by piece, I'm gonna start building it,
You're
and get it to where I want it.
are you more of an engine person or more of an appearance person on the cars when you build them?
Nah, definitely of an engine person. I
Engine.
like the way the things sound and everything like that. But I'm a combination of both because you saw the Corvette.
Yeah,
I had it
yeah.
in I had a camo. I did a lot of work to the engine and stuff like that. So I think a combination of both. I
I
wanted to
w-
look good. I wanted to sound good also.
I was always the look person.
Oh
Like
yeah.
when I was listen, when I was coming up in cars,
uh,
I was coming up during the Fast and Furious time.
uh-huh.
And then, I grew up solely in Trenton, so it was
Uh-huh.
fucking street races, fucking all that shit. So it
Yeah.
was like Civic, Honda Accords I would have,
Yeah.
Chrysler 300 one time, and it was just you had to be rims, drop, system, the
Uh,
whole night. So that was always me. Like,
uh,
there's no way I haven't done that in a while because
uh,
like I can't drive around with shit like that anymore. So like
uh,
I'm more like I prefer like Benz,
uh,
BMW more on a sedan side,
yeah.
comfortable rims. That's the look like
Hmm.
that way. But
Hmm.
during that time, man, it was like it was like all that shit, man.
You all flash and no power.
I was, man, because I didn't want to drive fast. I wanted to drive
Yeah.
slow. So
Yeah.
everybody
Everybody can
see,
look at your car. Yeah,
yeah,
I
they could
got you.
hear me and look at me. That's all I
That's
was
so
worried
funny.
about. That's all I was
That's
worried
so
about.
funny.
And you already know, man, when I was younger, as long as the fucking exhaust sounded good, it's got to be fast,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
fool
Make a
everybody.
whole bunch of noise and don't go anywhere.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of me, man. That was me.
Mhm, mhm.
But Akeem, man, thank you so much, man.
Of course, man.
The biggest thing, man, I love those fucking lifts, man. The fact
Mhm,
that you're over 2,000 pounds are your highest lifts, man.
mhm.
That's a gift, bro. God bless you, man,
Well, thank you, man.
for everything, man. And listen, I'm not downplaying any of your hard work because at the end of the day, you still have to put the work in. You still got to die. You still got to eat all this stuff, right?
Mhm,
It might have been smoother during the
mhm,
amateur side, but
mhm.
on the pro side, it's a whole different animal.
Yeah, of course. I think for me, being an amateur, like the way I did it and everything like that, I didn't really give a shit about turning pro or trying to be a professional bodybuilder. I just love the fact that I could go to these shows and just win.
Right.
And I think that was a whole driving force behind it. I just wanted to win. I finally found something that I was like passionate about, and I didn't have to work as hard to get the results and stuff like that. So I
Yeah,
just love
yeah,
winning. So
yeah.
I didn't really care about, like, you see some of these young kids nowadays, all they care is about turning pro and stuff like that. In my back when I was doing it, I'm like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, at least I enjoyed the journey.
I think the only reason I want to, the majority of them, the only reason I want to turn pro is just to fucking say they turned pro.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because let's be real, they give a lot of pro cards out right now,
Hmm.
and I would say over 90% of the pro cards they give out, these guys are never going to compete, and even if
Hmm.
they tried, they won't even be in any form, shape compatible.
Hmm.
Yeah, compatible on stage. So
Hmm.
I think it just goes back to the ego thing, man. Just to be
Hmm.
able to put on your profile, the IFBB Pro aspect, and
Hmm.
just so you could just tell to people's face like I'm a pro. Because listen, man, at the end of the day, dude, if you're 180 pounds standing in front of me at 5'4", now no, that's actually pretty heavy for 5'4". But if you're like 5'8", standing in front of me at 180 pounds, and you tell me you're a pro, I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Like, you're still a fucking noodle. You managed to win. Like, there's no way you're going like I can tell like because you know this, you can tell what guys turn pro, and you could just tell how if they're hungry to a point where they're going to keep growing and being successful. Others, it's like they turn pro and it's just like they just disappear,
Hmm.
just completely fucking disappear, man. So
True, true, very true.
but whatever, man. NPC got to make the money. We got to make money. Got to pay bills. Got to make the shows. Got to do what it is. But at the same time, look, man, it's. I guess everything has positive and negatives, right? They give a lot of pro cards out, so I guess at the end it brings more people to compete, even
Yeah,
more, in different classes. So, look, at the end of the day, there has to be a lot of competitors, so the bills can get paid, and the federation and the sport can be sustainable.
yeah. I mean, like you said, the more pro cards, the more pros you have, the more some of them are going to compete. The more people you're going to have that want to pursue the whole goal of being a bodybuilder and stuff like that. So, I understand it. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
because if they continue doing what they were doing in the past, where they were giving them 1 or 2 pro cards a year, there wouldn't be that many bodybuilders. You
And
know,
I don't think the sport would be where it is now
exactly.
because
Yeah.
it's really mainstream, man.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
the new classes, I mean bikini for girls, regular physique, and now
What?
classic has made it so mainstream
Yeah.
for the sport. But that's the most without that, man, it would just be like it wouldn't be the same. And then at the end of
Yeah.
the day, you still have a great Olympia, you still have a great Arnold, but
Hmm.
then all those other shows would
Hmm.
just be like you would feel like you're in an amateur show versus a pro show,
Yeah.
right? That way.
Exactly.
So, but all right, I'm not gonna hold you up anymore, bro. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, always a pleasure, man. I wish you the best. I will definitely see you at the Olympia because I am coming down. So if I run into you, bro, I'll give you a big ass hug,
I
and uh,
appreciate it, man.
and I wish you the best, man. Always a pleasure. Always great seeing you smile, and have a good night, man.
All right, man. Enjoy the Five Guys.
Yo, don't tell people. Fuck. Fuck. Guys, I had it to my cheat day, man. I did back. I get to have fucking Five Guys. This guy can't keep his mouth shut. God damn it. All right. Peace out. We're out.
All right, later, bro.